Hi everybody. So I apologize for not having a video last week. I was kind of just in a weird place and wasn't really feeling like filming, and then the video quality wasn't that great either, and like I had some technical difficulties. The tech goblins got me. So I just decided to call it a wash. But I'm back today. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Annie. I am a potter and aspiring author. And I just vlog my small business journey and, I don't know, my journey in becoming an author and trying to be a multi-passionate artist and doing both, which in itself is its own difficulty, right? So yeah, that's me. That's my spiel. Where I left you all off was with the pottery. I was still waiting for things to dry, and I still am a little bit. I think I'm going to be making a studio trip on Friday. I wasn't able to do one earlier in the week because I had my kids all weekend. It was like a 5-day weekend. Because of like holidays and snow days and things like that. You know, because I live in the north, we always have snow days, but we rarely use them because, you know, we're all used to dealing with the snow. That's kind of what we've been dealing with. It kind of just been snowed in, and I ended up having some of my pottery dry enough that I'm going to be doing a bisque fire, and I'll show you that when I get it all loaded up. My kiln, the big one, Ember, still hasn't been fixed. I'm still waiting to hear back about parts. I'm not really getting a ton of communication with it, so I don't have an idea of when it might get fixed. So until then, we're just using my tiny kiln ash, and we're just going to be firing that one in little bits, you know, smaller quantities and stuff until I can get my bigger one fixed. So yeah, but I will be running a bisque fire today. I'll show you that. And then as far as the writing stuff goes, I was able to get all of my beta reader feedback back. That's a mouthful. And was going through it and all. Most of the people said about the same things, just, you know, I needed more. They wanted more of the story. It was a little too fast. So yeah, we're just gonna add some more stuff. So what I have decided to do is do another fast edit. So I have it on my Kindle Scribe, and I put it on as a PDF so I can like scribble and write all over my PDF on my Scribe because it has a pencil and stuff. And so I just do a fast edit. So I go through the whole book. And, you know, I'm not like rewriting scenes or anything. I'm just being like, fix this, put this here, put a scene here, and kind of just going through to get the basic idea of the structure and how I want to change things. And then I'm about halfway through that. So it'll probably take me another day or two to finish my fast edits, and then I will be putting it on my computer and like actually adding the scenes I wanted to add and stuff like that. And I did want to talk really quick about a really cool thing that happened last night. So I did this program local to my area called Creative Enterprise, and you know, they have you work on a business plan, they have you work on your business pitch, things like that. It kind of teaches you how to have more confidence in your business and how to like pitch it to people. And so I did that about 2 years ago, and you know, had to do a whole presentation, had to pitch to a bunch of business people, like had a panel, like did the whole 9 yards, presented in front of everybody, which was nerve-wracking. Yeah, believe me. But I feel like it went really well. And the cool thing is that last night they invited me back to be part of the panel to kind of help the next round of cohorts, you know, that are doing this pitch, they're doing this business stuff, to kind of give them advice, kind of give them our experiences with the program and stuff. It was weird to like be in a panel like with 5 other people in front of, you know, this huge group of people and kind of talk about our experiences but it was really cool to be able to share about my business and the things I learned and how, you know, the program helped me, but then also just how to work through stuff as a small business owner, because it is hard. It's not that, you know, not that other careers and stuff aren't hard either, but I think a lot of people go into small business not realizing how hard it actually is. And, you know, and it's like the things that you have to battle are like self-doubt, and it's like a lot of things that are in your head, right? And nobody really teaches you how to deal with that kind of stuff in your head. So so I was kind of just, offering my advice and how I struggle with like self-doubt and confidence and, burnout. I mean, we all know that I'm not so great at dealing with the burnout. So that was kind of cool to be able to like share my experiences. And then like there was another person from my particular cohort too, so that was really cool to be able to see him again. And we kind of talked about where we were at with our businesses and stuff. And it was just like a really awesome like community building time, and to be able to help all these new business owners too, with the program they were going through and stuff. So that was actually really awesome. They called me out like last minute to do it, and I was like really like, I don't know if I can do it, I don't know if I can make it work, but I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I made it work. I'm glad that I pushed myself to go out there. I will admit, like, being in the panel in front of everybody, I was like, can I do this? Can I do this? It was really overwhelming, honestly, when I first started my pottery business. And it took me years to get the hang of it. And I mean, I still don't quite have the hang of it, but yeah, it was just kind of cool to be able to help others who are struggling with it and, are dealing with the overwhelm or the burnout or whatever it is that they're struggling with trying to run their own business. And so, yeah, that was kind of it was awesome experience, and I'm glad that I did that. But now I'm done chatting at you. We will actually get into doing the bisque fire and doing some editing. And I do have a business call as well. And this one's just kind of with some other business friends. And so we're all just kind of talk about our wins and how we're doing and how our businesses are going. So it's not necessarily like a panel like last night was, but it's more just like being a business owner and working for yourself. You just get lonely. You don't have a ton of people to talk to, right? So we usually meet like once a month, and it's just kind of a cool time to like spend with other people and seeing how their businesses are going and getting to share how yours is going. So I also do have that later today. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. So I am just going to be using my tiny one to run like a little bisque fire. Luckily I don't have too many pieces that are done. I'm probably just going to have to do a bunch of little firings, to get these pieces out before, I can use my big one again, because I'm still waiting on parts. Hi everybody, so it's Friday and I wanted to give you an update. I ended up hearing back from the writing contest. I didn't place, and I was kind of waiting to talk about it on my channel until I got like feedback and stuff. I didn't really get a ton of feedback. Not that I expected there to be a lot, like I wasn't expecting them to go line by line edits on the short story, but I was expecting like a little bit more than like oh, we just wanted more of this, and then that was it. But then maybe again, that was all that was wrong with it. Because I didn't end up placing in the short story. And the short story was like a cozy fantasy. That was the prompt. And then you had to have like a time limit, you had to have an interruption, and you had to have an animal familiar. I wrote a cozy fantasy called Kittens and Cupcakes. And it is up on my Patreon if you're interested. Even the lowest tier gets access to it. But it is only available to my paid tiers just to kind of protect me from getting, people stealing stuff and all that jazz. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and check that out. I did actually just add it to my short story collection too. So if you didn't want to necessarily become a patron, you could just buy like the short story collection outright, and then you get that and a bunch of other short stories that I have. But I'm not going to be like sharing all of it here on YouTube. But anyways, so some of the feedback was just that there was like a little bit at the end that I added because I was trying to make what happened in the story makes sense, and a reason why she had to like remake the cupcakes last minute and things like that. And I like to write with leaving things a little open-ended, like having a satisfying conclusion, but there's still being a little bit of questions, you know, to answer, especially like with my short stories and things like that. I think that's why I like writing like the serial episodic kind of stories and stuff. It's because you know, you do get questions answered, but there's always more questions by the end. And it's not like major cliffhangers or anything. Like I don't write that, but I do kind of leave like a question or two, you know, and that's just kind of my writing style. And that was like their complaint, was that I didn't go into the rivalry as much, and that, you know, I didn't include as much of that in there, and that they would have rather me taken out other words to put more of that in there. I think that's more of a personal preference. Like they wanted a short story finished 100% done short story, and I just don't necessarily write like that. You know, not to say that like, you know, when my trilogies are done or whatever, that not, you know, that all the questions are answered and stuff like that. But like the end of my first book does leave some questions, you know, like, I don't know. They're not like cliffhangers. It's just, you know, it's try to get people to want to read the next book, or, you know, sometimes there's just not enough space, not enough words to do it justice. So, you know, I don't know. I guess it's just kind of something I really enjoy doing. Like I just like to leave little questions at the end, right? And that's what I do with my serials. That's what I do with my short stories. That's what I do with my flash fiction. What I do with my novels. And I guess it wasn't their vibe, which is fine. I'm not like, how dare they or whatever. But I think that's definitely why I wasn't, you know, one of the finalists, or I didn't place it all. So, yeah. So, I mean, it was an interesting experience. I felt like a week really wasn't enough time to write, you know, a really good, well-rounded, finished short story. And I write fast, and I still was struggling to get it in the time. You know, and then, like, on top of that, like, they kind of had this prompt, like, they wanted it to be a certain genre, right? But then when you sign up for it and stuff, then they're like, oh, well, we want you to fill these requirements too. And so it kind of just, it made it harder to write in a week. It made it like, I wasn't expecting there to be a bunch of stipulations on top of the genre as well as top of the prompt. It was an interesting experience. I've learned things from it. I'm definitely not participating in the next one, because the next one is romantasy. And one, I kind of have, I'm not so interested in the romantasy. Not that I don't like fantasy or romance in my fantasy, but I don't like the style of romantasy. So one, I just don't feel like I could do it justice. Like I don't enjoy writing in that style. Two, I don't think you can do it like, I'm not saying you couldn't do it. I'm sure there are authors who could do it. But it would be very hard to have a satisfying romance in 2,000 words. You know, like, and I'm kind of one of those writers that I enjoy slow burn. And so it just, I don't know. I feel like it would be really hard to do in the time frame, and plus they're going to, now that I know I've done it, they would give me a bunch of other prompts that I'd have to fulfill in it too. So who's to say I wouldn't have this idea, think that I could get it to work in the 2,000 words, and then all of a sudden they've thrown in me a curveball and I'm not going to be able to do it. So I feel like I'm complaining a lot about this. It wasn't a bad experience. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about how I write. And I mean, I'm glad I did it. Like, I'm glad I tried it. Yeah, so that was kind of my experience with the short story. And I'm not really upset that I didn't place either. Like, I get why they didn't want that. And, you know, maybe my writing style just doesn't fit what they're looking for, which is totally valid. And, yeah. And then on top of that, I did get my stuff out of the bisque. So I will be glazing those mugs. I'm probably not going to make it like a big, oh, I launched more mugs thing on my Instagram or anything. They'll just be up in the shop. I might do a story or something saying that they're up there, but I'm not like, there's not a lot of them, so I'm not going to make it a big thing. I finally heard back about my kiln. They finally got in the elements and stuff, which I say finally when I had to wait like 3 months for my other kiln when it had problems. So, I mean, a couple of weeks isn't too bad. It really isn't a bad wait. I just hadn't heard anything, and, like, I kind of wanted updates, but I wasn't getting any updates and stuff, so I finally got an update. So Wednesday, next week, and I might film a little bit of it. The scut technician I do know, but like I know he doesn't like filming, so I might just crop him out of it because he doesn't really like being filmed, which is totally valid. I understand. Just because I feel like putting myself on social media does not mean that other people have to. And so yeah, so I probably will like film a little bit of it, but I don't really want to like make him uncomfortable with the fixing of my kiln. So that will be next week. Next week's vlog on Wednesday, I'm going to have that done. And yeah, and then I'm going to be doing glazing so I can finish those mugs, and then I got to list them and put on my website. I do have some trimming I'm hoping to get done next week, and I do need to really like make myself start more of the Wizard of Oz collection that I'm trying to do. So the Wizard of Oz collection is the first part of it is going to be Journey to Oz, and I do have all those pieces planned out, like the sketches and stuff, and it's subject to change. Like not everything that I put in my sketchbook I'm going to actually do, but those are also on my Patreon if you're curious. And so I'm going to do the first part, and I'm going to release it in 2 parts. I was hoping to release the first part by the beginning of March, but obviously that didn't happen. The kiln being broken and stuff kind of threw me for a loop. And then, I had all the writing stuff. I ended up getting my writer feedback back a lot earlier than I was expecting, which is great. I mean, I appreciate them doing it as quickly as possible and even getting back to me. That was awesome. But yeah, so like a lot of it, I've been trying to do the book, and I've been trying to like work through that as well. I'll admit the balance is difficult right now between the two of them, So yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be doing next week. Today I'm giving myself a break. I did finish the fast edits today. There wasn't a whole lot left. It was like 1 chapter. And so I finished that today, but I think I'm going to give myself a break from, Eyes of Pewter for today, and I'm actually gonna go and just do a bunch of writing. I do need to write more episodes of my serial fiction that I have on my Patreon. I did promise to write another Melark story for my patrons because they love him, and I don't blame them, and I need to write another story for him. And so I've got to do that too. And I don't know, I'm just kind of in the mood today to be more creative, to do the writing part of it. I don't really, I guess that like my brain's not really feeling the edits. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the plus of having multiple projects, is that you can kind of, go back and forth between them. I know it's kind of a short vlog, and I apologize for that. There just really wasn't a whole lot like of information. There wasn't a whole lot that I was doing besides, going through fast edits and like, boring kinds of things. And so I waited till I actually had updates to do an update, right? But I promise next week will be more exciting because we'll be glazing, we'll be firing, we'll have a kiln repair. I'll probably start actually doing the edits on Eyes of Pewter. So all of my creativity is, that's where it's all going. It's like to, the pottery and the writing and all that. And I'm finding that I'm having a harder time coming up with things or feeling creative and stuff, like with my videos and my social media. It's like, maybe I just need some suggestions and that will kind of help trigger something. I don't know. This has been a wild year, 2025 has, and it is only just begun. So we'll see.